Okay, we're live.
Great. The time is 9:01 a.m. and I am calling this meeting to order. Good morning, I'm Jessie Shen with the Office of Planning and Environmental Review. I will be serving as today's hearing officer. Rochelle Rolanka will serve as ZA secretary and timekeeper. This is the Sacramento County Zoning Administrator hearing for August 18th, 2021. This hearing is being recorded. I will now read the announcement. The announcement is in compliance with the directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This meeting is live streamed and closed to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When I open the public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, you will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. You can send your emails to boardclerk@saccounty.net. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. To appeal a decision, the decision made here may be appealed within 10 days of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the fee is $3,935. Clerk, would you please administer the oath?
Certainly. Yes, certainly. Please raise your right hand and the appropriate response is, I do. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony that you're about to give this board is the truth, so help you God? If you do not swear, do you so affirm? Applicant?
I swear. Is that all you need?
Okay, thank you.
Could you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much. And that is it for announcements.
Great. Clerk, could you please call the first item?
Yes, certainly. Item 1 is to approve the action summary from August 4th, 2021.
I approve.
And let the record show we have no public comments on this item. Would you like me to move on to item number 2?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 2 is located in the Fair Oaks Office Park, located in 3610 Fair Oaks Boulevard, approximately 340 feet south of the Fair Oaks Boulevard in the Arden Arcade community. Request is for the special development permit, and design review of environmental document is an addendum.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Desiree Fox. I'll be presenting on this item, confirming you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Zoning Administrator Shin. My name is Desiree Fox. I'll be presenting PLNP 2019-00301, the Fair Oaks Office Park Special Development Permit. Next slide. The project site is located at 3610 Fair Oaks Boulevard, and it's approximately 345 feet south of Fair Oaks Boulevard in the Arden Arcade community. Next slide. The subject parcel is a landlocked parcel that is undeveloped. It is served by public utilities. It's approximately 0.57 acres in the business and professional zoning district. It's adjacent to other BP parcels to the north and the east, which are developed with offices. And to the south and the west, the site is adjacent to RD30 parcels. The southern parcel is developed with a multifamily apartment complex, and then to the west is a church that has an ancillary private school. As mentioned, they're both in the RD30 zoning designation. Next slide. The project request from this applicant is a special development permit to allow for the proposed office park to deviate from the following development standards: the required landscape screening around the trash enclosure, the required setbacks from the western and southern interior yards, and also the project includes a design review to allow a reduction in the required number of parking spaces and to comply with the countywide design guidelines. Next slide. A few key points for this project that will be fleshed out as I continue the presentation is the proposed structure is a one-story building, approximately 8,000 square feet, and it will be a multi-tenant office building. The site is is proposed to be secured with a masonry wall along the southern and let's just say western border. And the project proposes 26 parking stalls and 6 bicycle spaces. Next slide. Here's an overview of the site for the proposed development. The proposed office building is multi-tenant, as previously mentioned. Right now, there are no tenants that are proposed to be included within this office building. That will be reviewed at a later time during the business license process to confirm that those future tenants are compatible and consistent with the zoning code. The office building will be about 10.5 feet from the western and southern properties, which are both residential, both property lines, the western and southern, are adjacent to residential zoning designations. So they were required to have a 25-foot setback in the zoning code. However, the applicant is proposing to deviate from that required setback and have a 10.5-foot setback from the western and southern property lines. The project also provides 26 parking spaces as opposed to the required 28. The design review allowed for a 25% reduction of the parking, which would have been 21 parking spaces if the parking was reduced to the maximum amount of the 25%. That could be reviewed through the design review process. However, the applicant is only reducing parking by less than 1%. So they're required to have 28 and they're providing 26. The trash enclosure is located along the southern property line. And as mentioned, they are deviating from the required landscaping. They'll be having 3 feet of landscaping instead of the required 5. And the masonry wall will be provided along the western and southern property line, as mentioned. Next slide. Here are the elevations that were reviewed at the Design Review Advisory Committee. It has some modern elements and includes neutral colors. There are going to be some stone located on the columns. This design was reviewed at the DRAC, and the DRAC members found it to be something compatible with the surrounding areas and found it to be consistent with the countywide design guidelines. Next slide. Here's the landscape plan that was reviewed during the entitlement process. It includes the required 7-foot landscape planter for a commercial building adjacent to residential zoning designation. It'll provide 15-gallon trees along the western property line in that 7-foot landscape planter. Also, the applicant has provided within their elevations some doors to provide access to this outside space within the 7-foot landscape planter or in that area. The draft discussed the ability to have that space be activated potentially with benches and tables for the future tenants, and found that having this landscape planter and the masonry wall and trees to be a nice area for a office park in the commercial district. There's an existing valley oak off-site that includes some mitigation measures to make sure that the project will not encroach upon the existing valley oak during construction, and also so that the valley oak can be preserved. Right. The Art and Arcade CPAC reviewed the application on March 25th. There was no members of the public available to comment on this item, and the CPAC members mentioned that they found this to be compatible with the other uses in the area that would be a suitable development for the site. They ultimately recommended to the zoning administrator the approval of the proposed project. On December 10, 2020, the DRAC reviewed the proposed project. At the time, The applicant requested to maintain the existing wooden fence. The DRAC found that with the request to deviate from the required setbacks, that a wooden fence wouldn't be appropriate. So the applicant changed the design to what is before you today to include a masonry wall. Other than that, the DRAC members took no exception to the deviations requested in the special development permit, found to be compatible with the design guidelines, and recommended gave it to or in compliance with the countywide design guidelines as well. Next slide. Staff recommendations today is to determine that the prior negative declaration with the addendum prepared pursuant to CEQA is adequate and complete. Recommendation is to also adopt the mitigation, monitoring, and reporting program, approve the special development permit, and find the project in substantial compliance with the countywide design guidelines. All subject to the findings and conditions that are listed in attachment 2 of the provided staff report. Next slide. And that concludes my introduction of the item. The applicant, Corinna McDonald, representing Borges Architectural Group, is available to answer questions from the applicant team, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have for staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Desiree. I was going to ask if there was an easement or some sort of mechanism in place for providing access to the subject parcel since it is landlocked. But I do see that there is a condition on the prior development plan review that required cross-access easements to be recorded. So I just answered my own question. I don't have any other questions. I don't see any public comments received for this item. Clerk, could you let us know if there's any public comments you've received, or if there's anyone on the line for verbal comments?
We do not have any public comments, either written or otherwise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Applicant, question for you, applicant. Have you read the staff report and conditions, and are you in agreement with them?
Yes, I have reviewed them, and the owners of the property have reviewed them, and we concur with or accept the conditions.
Great, thanks. So I, as the administrator, approve the project as described in the application request. There is a 10-day appeal period for this action. This approval will become final after that period has lapsed, unless an appeal is filed.
Great, thank you. Is there anything else we need to do to finish this up?
I don't think so. Your planner, Desiree Fox, will be in touch, and we can move on to item number 3.
Item number 3, we currently have no public comment on the staff update.
Thank you. No, yeah. Item number 4. There are no zoning officer comments. And then
we have no public comments.
Okay, great. I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting now. Thank you. It is 9:15 a.m. and the meeting is now adjourned. The next zoning administrator meeting is scheduled for, is it September 1st?
The September 1st meeting has been canceled, so it won't be, I think, until September 15th.
15th. So the next zoning administrator meeting is scheduled for September 15th. Thank you.
Thank you.